Hello, everyone. This is Sarah Poet, and welcome to episode 172 of the Sacred Remembering podcast. It is so good to be here with you. This is our last episode before the end of the year, 2024. So just wishing everyone just such a blessed season here. And may 2024 pack in the miracles as we exit this year. So speaking of which, today's topic is time. And this has been very present for me, but it also feels like a topic that is emerging, like one that I will continue to be more attuned to and learn more about. So, we have our relationship with time from kind of like the old way of being, the old matrix, and then we are going to be evolving our relationship with time as we continue to evolve our consciousness, evolve our light body, evolve our connection to that which is sacred and sovereign. So I'm going to dive in today, and just a reminder, like if you are new to my work, I know that people are finding this work every week, which is just so exciting. And if you are new here, there is this focus on women's truth and women waking up to the truth of who we are. And so we are talking about this reunification of feminine and masculine in right relationship, what that really means, and the energetics of that on all layers and levels of existence. That's what I'm talking about. And so as we're talking about the standing in the truth of who we are, we're also talking about the fortification, the sovereignty, the direct source connection, all of this magic about the earth and the earth grids, and all of this like sovereign support that is really truly here for us at this time on the planet to help, in my mission, particularly women who just have these like immense truths within us, and our light and our wisdom really is what is needed on this time on the planet. That's my belief and my experience. And so I am in service to women's remembering, sacred remembering. That's what we're doing here, right? So it is my intention that what I say spark remembrance, spark maybe some new considerations. You might want to have like your journal ready. Speaking of time, I know time is so precious, and this hour in a week, it really is an invitation. Like if you have time to sit and treat this as sacred space, that's really ideal, because I'm speaking here to the woman, but I'm also speaking to the soul. And so there will be these sparks of remembrance. You might want to have your journal ready. And then something new that I'm doing since winter solstice just last week is transmitting these transmissions, these quote unquote podcasts, doing this live, and also incorporating an energy event at the end. So the whole thing is an energy activation and a transmission. You can listen to it in that way. And then the last segment of every episode going forward is going to be an energy transmission. And I never know exactly what's going to happen when I show up to that, but I show up, and it's like the Sarah, the ego self is not the one that's like going to make that happen, right? So it's the soul self, and this multidimensional aspect that I am is going to bring this forward. And today, the only thing I'm like currently getting is that we're going to visit the crystal clock, visit this time upgrade. So it's very exciting. So, all right. So time is one of our inherent resources. You'll hear me talk about women's inherent resources, and time is one of them. Like we wake up in a day, we know there are 24 hours. We know that it is this resource that is available to us. And we are and we're going to distill it down here, that we're either creating with time or we're kind of like surviving in time. And this is representative of these two kind of situational, like old paradigm, new paradigm perspectives that I want to bring forward today. So we're either creating with time, evolving with time, or we're kind of surviving in time. So note number one, right? This choice point that we have. How is our relationship with time? And if we're creating with time, we're in alignment with our soul's truth, with the truth of who we are. We are in alignment with more regenerative energetics. I'll get into that later in this episode. And we are amplifying. We, as feminine beings, we can take those resources that we have and create an amplification situation with them. So that's what we want to ideally do. And we get stuck in the survival a lot of the time, which is when a relationship with time is more about dealing with those external demands, feeling depleted, feeling like a lot of loss, like you might be running out of time or running out of something. I think I talked about that in the last episode. So just, let's bring in this possibility here and now that time itself is actually changing. This is what I'm intuiting. This is what I'm remembering. This is what I'm getting from the planetary energetics that I am channeling, is that time itself is changing. There is an upgrade to time. So what can our upgrade in relationship to time really be? Okay, so part number one here, I like to kind of organize it for for our consciousness to kind of grok these concepts. So I want to talk about our relationship with time in terms of quality, because if we have, so many hours in a day, well, it's like, well, how do we really evolve that? How do we stretch that? How do we make the most of that? And one way that, it's super simple, really, if you think about it, is to look at the quality of our energetics within the time segment that we have. So if we look at like a super basic example right here, right now, is like if I have an hour and I choose to eat something that's bad for my body, like eat a sugary snack and watch TV during that hour, I'm not really making the most of that hour, or I'm not, like the quality of that energetic choice is not really going to like enhance and evolve my life, right? But if I have an hour and I choose to, like, maybe I make a peppermint tea and I put it in a mug and go outside and like bundle up because it's wintertime, right? And I like go for a walk in nature and I just like listen, I unplug. I don't even put the headphones in and try to fit in a podcast, right? I just listen to nature and my own like breath patterns and, clear my space, clear my energy grids. That's a good hour, right? I've taken like that gift of time and I've engaged with it in a way that enhances how I'm feeling, enhances my energy, enhances my connection with myself and with nature, right? So that's a super like simple and basic idea. And not to say that we never like watch TV or like veg out or something like that. But there's always an energetic choice, right? Even if we're watching TV, we could be watching something that's violent, or we could be watching a documentary that like educates us, right? So there are all these choices, and we're not trying to get an A plus in being a human. We're not trying to get an A plus in healing. We're not like pressuring ourselves, but we are kind of asking ourselves like, okay, well, if I have this gift of time, what is the quality what is the quality of the energy that I am going to bring to this time, this gift of time that I am given? And that's a right reciprocity with life. Like, I'm just feeling that to mention that in this moment, is that, that's like us showing up to life like we're excited to live it, right? And then life is like, oh, I see you. I see you doing that, right? Okay, so let's take another look at another little example because, okay, Structure and Flow is coming. Structure and Flow is an annual group. I love to do it at the new year because we're all talking about upgrades at the new year, right? So Structure and Flow looks at our relationship with time, energy, and all of our resources. And we look at this allocation of resources daily. And it's much deeper than that, but that's just the snippet that I'll give in this moment. So as we're looking at our allocation of time in Structure and Flow, it's a 24-hour wheel. Like we actually have the wheel of time represented on the daily Structure and Flow page. And we look at how we allocate that wheel. That in and of itself is a very, very powerful practice. Then we kind of layer on these conscious considerations of the quality of the energy, right? So if I have an hour that I'm going to allocate to, let's say, work or getting something done, then in that hour, I'm very familiar with this example. All of these examples are real life for me and everyone else, right? So in that hour, the quality of the work, the quality of the energy that I'm bringing to the work. So if I or any of us slug a cup of like coffee or the favorite caffeinated beverage and we're like, okay, we are going to like hammer out as much work as possible right here, right now. That's one option for how we can engage in the quality of the work. And there's a heavy emphasis there on like production, right? Like how much am I going to do? How much am I going to get done, right? Then if there's an hour that you're devoting to work and you're going to bring this quality of like deep contemplation, like maybe you take 5 minutes to meditate at the beginning of that hour and you like hear from your own wisdom and from creation the perfect actions to take for the greatest possible amplification of your energy in that hour. And that's how you allocate that hour, like doing not what you're, productive, over caffeinated, like how much can I get done? Not that aspect of self, but the aspect of self that's really attuned to self, soul, creation, and the spirit of the creation that wants to be birthed through you, right? So those actions have a different quality. And then that time, again, has a different quality. Okay, so our energy and time, very, very related. Third quick example here is, again, like if I'm taking an hour of so-called time and the hour that I'm bringing, or the energy that I'm bringing to that hour of time is one of stress and fear. Like I'm afraid that I'm not going to get everything done. I'm afraid of the invisible things that are chasing me, like bills or all the things, right? Taxes, all the things, right? I got to get this done, right? If I'm bringing that energy to that hour, feel the constriction in that, just like feel it and let it go, right? And then what if I spend that same hour? Gotta get the stuff done. It's gonna get done. But what if I bring curiosity? What if I bring gratefulness, love, joy to that hour, to that time? Gosh, think about this, like spending time with your children. You have such a short time with your children, like daily in their lives. We have such a short time with them and they're so precious. So if you're spending the quality of that time with your children, wondering about what else you should be getting done, or thinking how annoyed you are with like the quality of what they're bringing forward, that's kind of sad, right? Versus like just really enjoying them, really being grateful for them and the time that you have with them. So let's just for a moment, I didn't plan to say this, but let's for a moment just imagine like time is this consciousness. I think there is some consciousness to time. There's a dimensionality to time. So let's just say that, time is aware of how we're using it. Like it's like a relationship. How would time be like? How would time feel about how you're currently using it and relating to it? Now that's a good question. We talk about this with money, right? Like with some money teachings, like with money resources. We're like, well, are you stewarding money? Are you like in right relationship with money? Would money want to even come to you if it knew how you were treating it? Well, let's think about that like in the same way with time. Does time would time like how you're relating to it? How are you using this precious gift? All right. Tools for contemplation, right? Part number 2 today. So I want to talk about time. So part number 3, I'm going to be breaking down how women relate to time in the old and the new paradigm. So part number 2 is going to be me talking about what I'm talking about. Like, what is this old paradigm versus new paradigm? Like, what are we even talking about? So I'm very aware that we are in a shift from the old paradigm to the new paradigm. I talked about this a lot on this podcast. Okay, maybe I should just stick with my notes, but when I was not yet aware of what my soul was doing with this, right? It was like, I was, so signs and symptoms that you may also be in this bridge from old paradigm to new paradigm. As a woman, I would not participate. Like there was a part of me that just did not want to participate in the existing options, be it, work, relationship paradigms, how we're supposed to interact with business and money. My being like literally wouldn't let me do things in the old way. And the first way that I knew, and I would kind of joke about it, but it actually wasn't a joke. But the first way that I was aware of this was like, oh, it's like I'm not really allowed to participate in patriarchy anymore. Like it was like if I tried, it would kind of fail. And ways that we use our relationship with time, some ways that we've used time before may not be producing the results that it used to produce. This is why. Because we're actually upgrading, like we're stepping into the new earth. If you are listening to this anywhere on any platform, live or in a recording, you are like an ambassador of the new earth. So we are in many ways going first, and we are remembering. And this is why the remembrance is so important, because these answers are coming through us, and we have to trust that. We have to trust what we're going through, right? Because there aren't a lot of people who have gone before us in this exact way at this exact time. Like we actually are it. So, all right. So we have to trust what is going on within, even though it's different from any template of operating that we have seen before. Okay, this is why I'm here. I'm here to support, because this is kind of a mind bender. This path, right? Like, yeah, lots of hills and valleys. I can attest to that. So, all right, from old paradigm to new, you'll hear me refer to new as the new earth. You'll hear me refer to it as Heartland, because that's how the code was given to me. And Heartland is specifically about women's energy in the new earth, which is very exciting. Our own upgrades around our resources and our prosperity. So you'll hear me refer to it as Heartland. And the word regenerativity, it's becoming more popular. You'll hear me say the regenerative feminine. We have regenerative feminine energy events inside of the Live Sacred Remembering community. So the regenerative earth, all of those kind of phrases are pointing to new paradigm. So what is this? It's this movement from separation and power paradigms, like separation traumas, somebody has power, somebody doesn't have power, into actual more love and unity. Those aren't just nice buzzwords. Like, it really is the healing of the energetics that upheld separation, moving into the energetics that uphold love, unity, and regenerativity. Okay. Movement from masculine feminine disconnect in an old paradigm, again, that power dynamic that was actually implanted into the consciousness of people on the planet. It's much bigger than most people know. It goes way beyond men and women. So the actual energetics of masculine and feminine, and the like the mathematical energetics of these in the planetary grid architecture, in our light body architecture, like as they run through the cosmos, through the planet, that we're resurrecting, and as we remember the feminine in women, and we reclaim like the sacred feminine through us, there is a massive planetary reclamation of the feminine through the mother arc, the frequency of the divine mother, through the planetary structure, architecture, frequencies, grids. Okay. So, and as that happens, obviously the humans are going to move more into collaboration, conscious co-creation, very exciting times, like really the actual templates of unity coming back onto the planet in both esoteric and very practical ways. Okay. From old to new. So we're moving from, in the old, we had a lot of like victimizer, right? Someone had power, someone didn't. Someone had access to resources, someone didn't. There was someone victimizing, and there was someone that was being victimized. I think I said that correctly. That caused a lot of destruction, obviously, and that causes energetic imbalances. That makes sense, right? Because if resources or energy was being extracted from and taken from one group of people or the planet and given to the others that were taking, right, be it human or non-human form, that was creating a massive energetic, like, what would be that word? The opposite of equilibrium. Disequilibrium? I don't think that's an actual word, but when I'm recording live, I have no choice. I just have to go with it. So, yes, inequality, but the reason I'm drawn to the word equilibrium is because as these things heal, the mathematics that hold the energy in your light body, in the planetary light body, actually come back to an equilibrium, like a harmony. So masculine and feminine itself is moving toward that. And when we have that, we're moving from the victimizer into a sovereignty. Like, so new earth paradigm, you'll hear me use the word sovereignty a lot. So we actually have like our own energetic sovereignty. Our energy is our own, and it's cycling within that like love, harmony template, right? So there's a lot of sharing. It's so beautiful because there's a lot of sharing. There's a lot of like right reciprocity, right give and take in the new paradigm. Okay, so in the old paradigm, we had to be a little bit more guarded with our resources as women. I've experienced this a lot. And then in the new paradigm, like, it's actually safe for women to open in our energy bodies, and to like hold a bigger template, to hold, like like to take up more space would be a simple way to say that. How cool, right? So we hear these buzzwords, right? We hear this like in polarity spaces. We hear this about masculine, feminine healing. Well, how does it actually happen when the actual energetic templates change? Okay, so yeah, so lots of excitement there. So one last example from old to new, and I don't. Okay, I say this with caution because there's a lot of like again buzzwords and woo about the word frequency and dimensionality. So in the old, we were very like commonly in that more survival state and maybe like a fear-based paradigm. Those are lower dimensional frequencies. And in the new, we are able to access more of the higher dimensional frequencies. However, and I'll just go into this a bit right now, it's not about bypassing the lower dimensional frequencies because we need integration. We actually need wholeness. We need all of this to come into alignment. So lower dimensional frequencies, if we're going to alchemize those, that might be things like shadow work, emotional alchemy, like the willingness to go into the thing and actually heal it rather than, an extreme example would be like bypassing, taking some plant medicine, reaching higher dimensional realm access. And you're like, oh my gosh, I realize things I've never realized before. I must be woke. And, but actually you never like actually integrated that shadow. That's a recipe for actual disaster. So, and we get into this framework. We use it daily in structure and flow of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So you have these 4 layers inside of you: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And they do correspond to dimensionality in that, obviously the physical has more density, right? The spiritual, the energetic would have the least amount of density. So the frequency of each is obviously very different. However, like in the physical, what makes it dense and low frequency is these, karmic attachments, a lot of miasma, like this grayish kind of material that just like hangs around in your morphogenetic field, your energy field. The heaviness, the hardship, the ancestral traumas, the things that you agree to take on, etc. So those things like we need to actually clear. And there's a gorgeous frequency that we can like exist in where the physical nature, and this is very, very important on a path of reclaiming feminine, masculine, and reclaiming our earthly selves. It's like clearing the matter, the physicality, clearing, like when I talk about grid work, clearing the grids of the earth and clearing the matter itself of the density so that we're not bypassing physicality. Rather, we are, we're clearing it. We're clearing it and like making it more like available to those higher dimensionality frequencies. And I would also call this like becoming crystalline, right? Like becoming more crystalline in our DNA, in our cells, in the waters inside of our own bodies, like blessing the physicality that we are. Woo, that feels good. Okay. So that's the bridge into the new. This is so exciting. And I'm just like tuning into the women in the field because as we're talking about Heartland, as we're talking about reclaiming women's resources, as we're talking about doing this in conjunction with the earth, like this is like a best kept secret, y'all. Like this is great. This is great stuff because as women are reclaiming, quote unquote, the feminine, we also want to be sanctifying the sacredness of our physical vessel. So there, the quality of how we treat our physicality, we can consider that in the same way that I was just describing, how we consider the energy that we bring to our relationship with time. We can consider that also with our physicality. I don't know if that totally made sense in that link I was trying to draw. So, for example, like the quality of the water that we consume, the quality of the food that we consume, the quality, and then we could go emotional, the quality of the emotional landscape that we surround ourselves in, the quality of our own emotions, the emotional frequencies that we're bringing into our own life, the quality of our mental thoughts, right? So this is how we upgrade. Yeah, we upgrade the quality, and we upgrade, in doing so, we upgrade the quote unquote frequency or quote unquote dimensionality of each of those 4 layers. And what's really important, and especially as we're talking about, evolving or ascending or becoming more ourselves, or whatever language you give to that, standing in the truth of who we are, we want to make sure that that physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, like the integrity is in alignment between all 4. So I don't know, you can do with this what you will, but like there are these old, stories about like a very wise person who like also smokes a pack of cigarettes a day. I don't know. I think that they would be altogether more wise, altogether healthier if they were a very wise person who didn't smoke a pack of cigarettes a day, right? Like, I don't know. Take it or leave it. That's my thought. Okay, so that's kind of exciting. That's like a little summary of the old to new and like what we're talking about. Okay, so part 3, here we go. I just want to like go over some examples of what women's relationship to time looks like in the old paradigm. And let's be clear that we're in between these 2 paradigms. So we're all experiencing on a daily basis, probably both, like examples from both of these paradigms. And we're also like in this entrainment, like we have to entrain our energy, our thoughts, our physicality, our nervous system, our spirituality, our energetic practices day in and day out. And we go to sleep, we wake up, that clock starts again. Like it's so beautiful how we're given this resource of time that we get to choose what we do with it, right? And we're in this period of, I'm going to say, entrainment with our energy systems, where if we truly want to grow and like be in the new, it's a daily practice. It's a daily, even moment by moment practice, devotion, dedication. And some days it's going to feel great. Other days it's not going to feel great. Sometimes we're going to be like, yes, today I really respected all of my resources. And then other days we're going to be like, this is hard. So I want to normalize that. And, we're women on this evolutionary path. We're not women who have figured it all out. Like we are going into this like new earth frontier that literally has never been here before in this way. So yeah. So we got to be real that like there are really no experts right now. I'm just saying that. Bursting some bubbles maybe, but that's good. That's good. Okay, so what was women's relationship to time, the resource of time, like in the old paradigm? Well, you can just begin to feel into this. You know this very closely because you've lived it. So you can start to think about your relationship with time, and maybe you felt like there wasn't enough of it. maybe you felt like you had to like gulp that caffeine and get as much done as possible. Um, so I'm going to go down my little list here. And again, we all do all of these. Like, let's not pretend that we are, better than any other woman who has been inside of this fucking false matrix. Like, stop. Let's stop with the judgment and like, yeah, anyway, all accepted, right? So we learn to emulate masculinity, but not even like true masculinity. We learn to emulate false masculinity. So false ways of working. Like the industrialized revolution, like these ways of work, time for dollars. So we have a template for work, time, and money. We have like an equation that came out of that old paradigm, and women were like, "Whoa, well, if I don't like, I don't want to be left behind, so I have to adopt this." And so many of us like climbed the career ladders in the way, and we worked in the way that the system taught us to work, and essentially that was like work like a man. But again, it's not even like healthy masculinity, right? So it's not about woman man. It's this cultural construct of hyperaction, hyperactivity, get as much done as possible, like have continuous energy, output, productivity, right? Those frequencies are coming from this old paradigm and this like distorted definition of masculine and work. So we learn to do that. In the old paradigm, women's relationship with time was very often based in survival. Like, I've got to do this much so that I'm okay. I've got to continue to do this much so that we all stay above water, right? Survival, a lot of fear in that. Okay, a lot of like, that feels like spinning wheels, right? Like scattered action. Like if we are kind of running for our lives in this old paradigm of like, okay, I just have to keep doing so that I keep going, so that I keep being okay, but it's not even like really thriving. It's just like kind of being okay, it's surviving, right? Then our actions become much more scattered. And I may have already said this, but like the emphasis would be on productivity. How much can I get done versus what do I want to invest my energy in and actually create? Okay, that would be more new paradigm. In the old, feminine energy wasn't fully valued. I talk about this a lot. So this is why we have to name these feminine resources. I say that there are 8. There are probably more than 8, but sticking with this model of 8. There are these 8 feminine resources, and we have to name them. We have to value them first and foremost before anyone else, because in the old paradigm, feminine energy was wanted, but it wasn't valued. It was used, but it wasn't valued. It was taken, but it wasn't valued. So if we want to rewrite this and enter into this new paradigm, we have to know and name those resources that we are claiming are as valuable. So we are doing the work of recalibrating feminine and masculine energy and bringing that into the new paradigm. We are the educators. We are the ones anchoring these recalibrated energetics and bringing them forward. We are it. We are. You are. I am. We are. Okay. In the old paradigm, we often tried to work really hard in order to guarantee an outcome, like controlling an outcome. You even see this in manifestation teachings. Like, we're going to work really hard to get this exact desired outcome that I have declared as the outcome that I want, right? That doesn't allow any room for like creation to create with us. So, yeah, a lot of force, a lot of control, a lot of push, mistrust. And then this is like a little bit more vague, but I'll speak to your soul here. And in past episodes, I was talking about the electrics. I'm very excited because the corrections in the clock, I'm going to call it the cosmic clock, the eternal clock, corrections in time right now have to do with planetary changes and corrections in electrics and the masculine electrics at the frequency level, at the planetary level. So I've been talking about this. It's very exciting. These new electrics are here. They're on the planet. They are coming through. I feel this is kind of brand new. I don't know if I'm just late to the party, but I feel like this is new. Like this is current, right? So we're healing the electrics, which heals our relationship with time and the clock. And let me pause for a moment as I articulate this. So this goes to the false power paradigm and how this was kind of injected into our planetary consciousness was through this like false male, false masculine, and power differential. But this has to do with the electrics. This is how they like got it into the planetary grid structure, the planetary consciousness. So if feminine is the magnifier and the masculine is the electrifier, we have electromagnification, right? We have this ideal of these two coming together and like creating something. So what happened was the electrics were tampered with, which created the like just fallen in such a sad situation with this distortion between feminine and masculine, making them mistrust one another instead of really like work with one another. And so this happened through, I've talked about this on previous episodes, these electric wars. And the electric wars, yeah, it tampered with us, creating this mistrust and creating this power over paradigm. So someone had power, someone didn't. So think about just the general way that women have had to use our energy and our time, our allocation of time in that kind of paradigm. So when the electrics were off, that breeds the fear in women. That breeds the spinning of the wheels, the overproduction, the survivalist use of our energy. Now, I'm saying that we don't have to do that anymore. That is the change. This is the time. And it has nothing to do with the social constructs. It has nothing to do with who's president or we have to fight against this organization or that. It has nothing to do with that. It actually has to do with like these planetary energetics and allowing your system to recalibrate. So that's a very powerful thing. That's a very sovereign choice. It is not outside of you. You are going first. We are going first in this recalibration. Okay? Okay. So, and all of my work is in service to that, right? So that's what I'm doing here with this podcast. That's what I'm doing in the Sacred Remembering community. It's a live community that you can like journey with us as we feel these these new energetics on the planet. They're literally new planetary energetics as we move toward the new Earth. We bring them in, we cycle them into our field, and we allow our light bodies and our energy bodies to be changed. This is very exciting. Okay. And then in January, as a group of women with structure and flow, we're going to journey for 90 days, specifically looking at these recalibrations of time, of energy, of right use of feminine resources, women's resources. Okay. And like bringing them forward according to what we are here to do. So that's where I'll go into here. This final piece of the spoken transmission is, what does women's energy and right use of time look like in a new paradigm? Well, we can all dream that, right? That's very exciting. But one of the things that many of us are called to is aligning, to our soul's purpose, to the reason that we are here, reasons that we are here, and to, bring that forward and to have that be supported by foundations and energetic foundations. Well, the new earth is going to support that when we are calibrated to the new earth frequencies. Okay. So we get to, in this new paradigm, live in accordance with what we are here for, our soul's purpose. And that can be, I'm going to say easier, hopefully it's just plain easy, but, we're still in this bridge, we're still in this shift. So that gets to be easier and easier and easier for you to actually thrive in that original soul's blueprint. That's the point. That's the point of being human, right? Like, we come in with our soul intact, with our blueprint, and we want to live in the expression of that blueprint. Well, we're going to be more supported in doing that with the shift in energetics. Okay? Our relationship with time in the new paradigm, and I'll say, like, in the bridge to the new paradigm, right? We need to have more discernment with our time, more discernment with our yes and our no. What gets our time? What gets our attention and our energy? What are we allocating these resources to? It's very important. And are you answering to the source wisdom that is inside of you, or are you answering to external demands? We need to be more and more answering to the internal, which requires us to also be spending much more time just listening, just being with ourselves. Yes, fortifying the light body, fortifying the energy. If we are a busybody, checking things off of the to-do list all day, every day, and we're not stopping to, yes, breathe, but we're not tending to the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual, then the journey is going to be longer and harder. Ask me how I know about that. In the new, so we need more quiet time. We need to, yes, I'd say we need to, but I don't want to tell you what to do. So in the bridge, in the new paradigm, our relationship with time will require us to spend more time clearing our own energy, clearing our grids, fortifying our light body, like I said. Clarity. I have clarity on my notes. Just one word. What was I meaning by that? Let me just pause. I'm aware of time here. Again, I wanted to keep it within an hour, but we might just go slightly over because I do still want to do the energy transmission and look at the clock. So I think clarity also goes to that discernment and clarity about, like, how to use our time. I mean, simple, right? If we are on a path of purpose, if we want to live the life that we came to live, then we're also going to be taking actions of impact. So with the time that we have, taking actions that, like, there's a short term and a long term, but they calibrate. So we're looking toward that long term, and we're making those discerning decisions about our actions, like in the short term. I've been thinking about this lately, this saying that people totally underestimate what they can get done in 5 years, but overestimate what they can get done in 1 year. And I like that. Like, I'm holding that. I'm holding both, because I am, like, looking back. I'm looking back at a year. We're at the end of a year. I'm looking back at the last 5 years, and I'm like, oh, I could have gotten way more done in those 5 years. But, the moment to moment, I think, is where the long-term goals are actually built. So yeah, structure and flow are going to be calibrating that, the short term and the long term. um, in our relationship to time and to our energy as women, we are going to be healing those frequencies of feminine and masculine so that we're just like embodying both, walking forward healthily, not making it so much about what men are or are not doing. If you listen to me, you know that I'm also going through my own upgrades because I've made this about what men are not doing for a long time, but that's okay. Oh, this is exciting. So, all right. You've been hearing me also talk about the spiral of creation. And this spiral exists within our energy body, in our light body, and exists within the earth's energy body. And there's a crystal spiral of creation that is where the feminine and the masculine are like in right relationship. It is regenerative. So if we are in this spiral of creation, then we're going to be amplifying, we're going to be creating, we're going to be feeling regenerative. Okay. So in the old, there were these reversals. So the spiral was actually going the wrong way and decreasing our amount of available time, energy, and resources. This is the very simplified version. In the new, as we resurrect the spiral of creation within our own, uh, you know, light bodies, within our own selves, within our own geographics. Like I live in Asheville. I've been talking about how I really feel that Hurricane Helene was the reset in the spiral of this geographic. Like, so now this geographic area is more regenerative, or the energetics that will be supported here will be the regenerative energetics. So this area just got this upgrade, and then we have it like across the planet and in different geographics at particular times of planetary evolution. So point being that the spiral is returning and is truth. And so if we are on this trajectory of the rightful spiral, then those inversions and reversals will be corrected, and we will be amplifying rather than, this is the feeling of constant depletion, like feeling so depleted, like where is my energy even going, right? So everything I've said today connects together and connects to this, that the correction of the crystal spiral will create more love, opportunity, amplification, co-creation, all of that. And so that is what we are moving toward the new. Beautiful. And I think this is the last thing I'll say before our energy transmission here. This is another really big idea, right? But you've heard people say, like, a timeline hop. Like if you clear something out that's been very heavy in your life, or clear a karmic pattern, and you feel just this like, whoa, things are new now. People will call that a timeline hop. I've called that a timeline hop. That's one way to look at it. So time, and this blows my mind. I do not claim to understand this, that you say that all time exists at once, right? So there are always options of which timeline we are operating on. There are always options of this. And so as we do this work to, like, everything I said today, again, everything I said today, clear our energy, align that physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, claim our sovereignty, all of that. As that is happening, we are timeline hopping. We are like even accelerating the progress in our own lives. So, we can say like we want the highest possible timeline for our lives. Well, great. Like hop on, right? This is what is required. All right. So here we are, and we'll just do this energy activation that wants to come forward today about time correction. And time correction, like in our lives, and the words that I'm hearing today as I've been planning for this and tuning into what happens. And like I said, I'm never going to know exactly what's going to come through these energy transmissions. But the words that I'm hearing today are crystal clock and crystal clock. So like a crystalline nature to the time clock that is currently holding like all of us. And this actually, as I tune in here, this is about like this universal time matrix. Like all possibilities, all timelines are available to us. It's all here for us. So I invite you to come to stillness. Coming to stillness, calling yourself to yourself across all timelines, all lifetimes, all dimensions, and all realities. So when we say that, we're acknowledging that there is this multidimensional morphogenetic field space. And there also is a space, a possibility where we can go into, I don't know that this is exactly what we're doing right now, but I'm mentioning it to help the brain to understand that we can enter the space. We call it the quantum, this morphogenetic field. We can enter this morphogenetic field space and heal across all timelines, all lifetimes, all dimensions, and all realities. When I'm with clients, this is the space that we go to. We go to this space. This is very important. You always want to go to these spaces in the creation field, in the unified field of creation, in the field that is held by original creation, held by Mother, Father, God, held by these unity guardians. Because there has been so much fallen, I'm going to say like fallen aspects of reality, maybe even fallen time. I don't know if I'd say it like that, but I can feel into it. So there's been all of this suffering on all of these various layers and levels of dimensionality given the separation that we've experienced. And so what we're doing here, what we do together in the spaces that I hold, is that we go to these spaces of original creation and the architecture of original creation. And you, as you're meditating by yourself, as you're remembering, you can claim this for yourself. Claim that this is the template of creation that you want to organize your life. There you go. So now we are in this space. Everyone arrives in this space as God sovereign and free, sacred, sovereign, and free. So I'm holding the space. The space is an activation. It is my pleasure to invite you into it. And your soul gets to say yes or no. You always get to say yes or no. You are a sovereign, free will being. So if it feels like a yes, then you can say, yeah, I'll participate today. And at any point, you get to say no. So if you are a yes, we'll begin. And we've called ourselves to ourselves. This is a practice that we do all the time, calling myself to myself across all lifetimes, all timelines, all dimensions, all realities. Calling in your source connection, calling from the heart of source to the heart of self. Source, be here with me now, calling in my source connection, calling in this central channel, this source central channel that I have access to in my energy light body. You can be saying the same, repeating the same. And from this, calling in the central channel and this fortification of the central channel, the whole way down from source, the whole way around your body, and now the whole way down to the crystalline core of this earth. Visioning this core of this planet as a crystalline core, as a diamond heart. And knowing that in some timeline of the earth, this has always been true. That's what we choose to connect to. And so seeing and fortifying that central channel from that crystalline core back up and through the earth to your body. And so now if you close your eyes, you might be able to envision a very sovereign channel filled with source light, filled with this diamond plasma energy, and you're in the center of it. And it goes the whole way up through all of the dimensions, 12th and beyond, to the source connection, this heart of source. And it goes the whole way down through the earth to the heart of the planet. And what we want to call for here and now is the sovereignty of this channel. Friends, we want to do this every day. We all have infractions that have happened to this channel, to the architecture that makes up this channel. And so if we see it in its wholeness, its potentiality, this divine remembrance, and we say yes to that. Yes, I want that. Yes, I want that fortification. Yes, I want this access. And we say that yes, and we mean that yes, that activates our own soul's blueprint in accordance with the planetary blueprint, in accordance with this. It's like I'm feeling it right now, like a time capsule, like we came here at exactly this time. I talked about this in the last episode. We came in this time for this reason, to be here now. So friends, feel into that perfect divine nature of you and this time and this planet. And if you say yes, let that time capsule, that soul code in your soul's blueprint, let it open. In sovereignty, in the sanctity of the truth of who you are. And allowing that to activate throughout your entire central channel, this entire truth of who you are, letting it touch all of the architecture of your energy body, letting all of the light of the being that you are be activated by this exact right now moment. This activation of this opening of this time capsule in your own light body. It's very beautiful, very exciting. So just tuning into that, seeing what you see, breathing, allowing that energy, that magic from your own soul to move throughout all of your energy, activating. The time is now. The time is right. I am here. Yes to the truth of who I am. You know, like whatever affirmations come up for you. Breathing it into your cells, your waters, the truth of who you are. Saying yes to the multidimensionality of who you are. And now we are going to attune to a crystal clock. And the energy is being transmitted by a vision, like a symbol. So you may see it differently, you may feel it differently. But for simplicity's sake, and for the energetic transmission to occur, there is a big clock face. You might see it in front of you. As I mentioned it might appear like this big clock face that's like big enough for you to actually stand on. And this clock face is made up of all of this like crystalline energy. It's got these corrected electrics in it. It's like corrected time. And it's going to help. This is what I'm getting in this moment. It's going to help to really correct all of these inversions that we've experienced as women in ourselves, in our thoughts, in our habits. It's going to correct these inversions of this like this reversal spiral, these reversal energetics of the old matrix. It's going to help correct those. And bring cellular healing and cellular corrections. And like we are open to any and all miracles, right? So it could have massive impact on your own relationship with time. Like your time may be just blessed. That's what we'll ask for, the blessing on time and the energy involved with time. So if it feels right, you may step forward onto this clock face and find your balance. Find your calibration. You might be aware that you're bringing forward that entire central column with you. And so as you're standing on this clock face, I am aware of energies that are helping to calibrate it, helping to balance. But how about this? Know your balance. Feel your balance on this corrected clock, this corrected relationship with time. Okay, so this is activating the light body with the corrected energetics of the crystal spiral. If you want to allow that, you can say yes. Allowing this corrected spiral the entire way through your central channel, allowing for all time corrections to occur. Allowing for the best use of your time and for this crystal clock to recalibrate your use of time so that there's the best use of time. Forward and back, right? Like in the 1 year and the 5 years. your best use of time while on this planet and beyond, actually. Allowing that correction to reach the source, connection, that space of, you could say, the 12th dimensional self and beyond. And the whole way down and through, also to the connection with the crystal core. Again, we are sovereign co-creators. There's nothing being done to you. You say yes or no to activate this activation for you and in you. It's different from other energy that, energy transmissions or activations that you may have received in the past, because you're not a passive recipient. You're an active co-creator. That's part of sovereignty. So this is correcting down and into that planetary level, very close to the crystal core. So opening to that like crystalline frequency from the crystalline core of the planet. See if you can really open to that. Open up your, your energy, your receptivity. And then feeling as that opens, feeling that current, crystalline current, diamond current, plasma current, up and through. And I'm seeing it come up and through a spiral, back up and through the central channel, reaching you on this clock face. And as it reaches the clock face, it actually is giving the clock face itself a recalibration with this crystalline current, so you can feel that. Calling for any and all distortion in time and feminine masculine calibration to clear as much as possible in this moment. Allowing these crystalline energetics and this planetary reconstruction to help to balance and heal and clear our own energy body, as well as the planetary grid structures, acknowledging the collaboration and co-creation in the structures of our own light body and the light body of the planet. So healing, receiving up and through, again, your central channel, these crystalline energetics going up, up, up through the spiral. Again, this feels like a timeline upgrade, like an activation of like the proper energetics of time throughout your entire multidimensional channel. If that feels like a yes, say yes. I can't be sure of this, but in this moment, what's arising is that in the last episode, I did call us timekeepers. I think I called us like code keepers or record keepers, perhaps. And that's coming in again. So this is something to take into your sacred remembering, into your inquiries, and be with and allow to activate and open. So if this time capsule of like within you is opening. And if you are here at the perfect time, in the perfect way, um, to bring your medicine forward on this planet, like what is that? What records are you keeping? What wants to come through you? What is the truth that wants to be shared? What when it wakens inside of you, adds to this crystalline structure of the planetary light body? That's very exciting. So, you are, when they say star seed, right? You are seeded, you are coded, the codes are within you. You are needed at this time on the planet. Very, very much so. Very much so. So feel that, know that, and allow this time activation, this time recalibration to just bless your body. There's no pressure, there's no fear of not getting it done. Like, let all of that go and just let yourself be blessed in this now moment, in your relationship with time. And so, everyone, lastly, I invite us to stand with your feet on that clock face, and you feel your balance, your calibration. And there is a relationship with masculine, feminine in this cosmic clock. And so just tuning in to the balance between the 12 and the 6. And tuning in to the balance between the 3 and the 9. Claiming the corrections of time to bless your life, claiming the corrections of masculine and feminine and right relationship and in right balance and in right equilibrium. Claiming the health and vitality of your own energetics, your own, the sanctity of your own light body, and the balance in this crystal clock within you. So if that feels like a yes, say yes. And this activation of this corrected clock, you realize that it is for you. Bringing it into your body, into your heart. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Beautiful. So bringing that feeling, everything that's been cultivated, and bringing it back to your body, here exactly where you are right now, opening your eyes and still maintaining that feeling of the activation in your body while you look around the room, while you notice the corners of the room, the colors of the room. But again, still feeling this activation within you. And so that's what we want to do. We want to bring it all into present time, right? So, like when we come back, we're bringing back all of the cellular activations and the upgrades into present time. Beautiful. And so we welcome these miracles and these activations in a good way to continue activating our lives, our energy, in this case, our time, our relationship with time and energy. And we welcome that spiral to continue to refortify and bless our lives. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, beautiful people, thank you for being here with me again. This is so fun to meet with you at a scheduled time, right? Fridays at 12 noon Eastern time. We are meeting live for this podcast, these transmissions. You can also, obviously, always find this on the Sacred Remembering podcast that goes to many places, but it always airs at sarahpoet.com/podcast. It always goes to Apple and Spotify, and that's the audio. And then the video will now always go to my YouTube channel. So you can find every episode there weekly by Sunday. We'll go live on Friday. You can find the recordings by Sunday. Here is my ask. I have an ask of you. If you have listened to this and you liked it, if you feel the blessing in this, I would like to ask you to share the word of this with more women in your life. Send the links to more women in your life. Recommend that they sign up at sarahpoet.com for notifications of podcasts, the link to join live, and then also just all the other good stuff that I send out and into the world. So I send weekly emails. I have a Sunday post email that is just given in, as like from my heart, as a blessing to those who choose to read my emails. I'm very, very grateful for that. If you want to come a little closer into the spaces, into the sacred spaces that I hold, you can find all the information at sarahpoet.com. Again, the best place is to be on my email list so that you get word of the current transmissions that are going on. So we have the rolling admissions into the Sacred Remembering community. You are always welcome there. There is a monthly fee for that. We have at least 2 live calls per month, and then we host it inside of a Mighty Network. So the Mighty Network, I think it's a very sovereign, energetic space. You know, you don't have to go into other platforms that might not feel as good. So we have our own network. We have our own community. And you can come anytime and talk about your sacred remembering path. And then there's also structures in there to bless your journey, to, feed your journey. And we have 2 live calls per month. And then there's always the possibility of more live calls every month. You know, sometimes we do soul money calls. Sometimes we do guest calls or book clubs, things like that. Soul medicine calls. We have one of those coming up in January where members of the community are going to share their medicine with the group. So check us out. Structure and Flow starts in January. That is like, another step up into, or step into like a sacred container that's going to meet with the regularity of once a week in the first 3.5 months of 2025. And Structure and Flow helps you to recalibrate your energy, your time, your attention, the allocation of your feminine resources, and doing so in right relationship in masculine and feminine. You can expect energy transmissions in this year's Structure and Flow portal. So time is of the essence, though, because we need you to sign up if you're going to join the group. It is scheduled to start on January 15th, 2025. So please sign up or reach out to me if that feels in alignment for you. And then another step into like maybe a higher activation or a closer kind of activation is to do one-on-one work, right? Where we are directly responding and replying to what is going on in your soul, in your life path, on your sacred remembering journey right now. So that is the best way to get the closest, most responsive, like just yeah, it's a one-on-one container. It's a sacred space just for you. So you can find out more about that as well at sarahpoet.com. I also hold that kind of space for couples. So repairing that relationship between feminine and masculine, between two individuals. So I can do, working with the partners and working with the partnership. So all of that information can be found at sarahpoet.com. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to supporting you in 2025 and beyond. So much love to each of you. See you next week.